morning, everyone. So we'll be starting the session in another 1 minute. So I can see participants are joining. So let's wait 1 minute. So good morning, everyone. So welcome back and thanks for joining uh, day 3 of AZ 800 program. Uh, so already we have provided Discord link on the chat window. So all the events details or all the notifications or the events program details which we updated or you'll be getting through the Discord link. And we have kind of given Facebook group link also. Now attendance details already provided on the chat window. So I request everyone to go through that. I hope the audio has been clear and can you confirm it on the chat window? Good morning, everyone. And okay, so thank you all team. I think a few members are already confirmed. It's been like audio, it's been clear. Good. So thank you for that. Now let's move to the discussion. Now let me before that let me do some confirmation. Okay, audio has been clear. Thank you for the confirmation. Now last day we were discussing about hybrid cloud computing options, right? So we have trying to understand how the on-premises solution is been working, and we are trying to understand how hybrid or a cloud computing is been working on in a scenarios, right? So the point right now we are discussing about how the VM or how the server can be installed on in a on-premises scenario, and we are trying to understand how this can be configured in a cloud scenario. So the first scenario we have considered, you are in a data center or a data room where you can able to or where you are in a position to install Windows Server 2019 or a 2022. That's the first case we have been considered. In a normal data center or on-premises scenario, there are two situations we are using. One, it's been like in an on-premises scenario. First cases generally we are doing, it's been like you have a server. On top of the server, directly you are installing a operating system. This is the first scenarios. Second scenario, you're going to use it in a on-premises one. If you want to utilize the server maximum, you may be using a technology called hypervisor. So you will have a physical server. On top of that, you will be installing a hypervisor. It can be VMware workstations or a Hyper-V, any kind of the hypervisor method you're using. And on top of that, your operating system is being installed. So this both cases in on a on-prem. And the third case, we are trying to understand how this is been working in a cloud scenario. So cloud scenario also we understood there is a concept of a region. So Microsoft is having regions scattered across the globe, and based on the customer requirements or customer user presence, they can able to go and configure the servers in any locations. Now, in the regions or in the Microsoft data centers also, they are also using the similar kind of a technology. It's called a hypervisor, or in the backend, they are using a virtualization technology. And top of that, you are installing an operating system. Yesterday, when we are discussing about installation of a VM or a workstation, the server which you are going to create inside in a cloud environment, that generally known as a VM. That's called the short term. Generally, we are using in a customer scenario. That's called VM. I hope it's been clear to you. Now, at the time of a discussion, we came to know a couple of terminologies also. We had a discussion about a resource. We discussed about a term called resource group. We have discussed about term about account creation. We have discussed about a term called subscription also. So these are the few terminologies we have discussed during the sessions. So right now we are trying to install a Windows Server 2019 or a 2022. We'll try to see how this can be installed in a cloud and how this can be installed in a Windows Server on-premises servers also. So like a 2019 or a 2022. So yesterday we have done a demo of installation. Now, when we had a discussion on a 2019, I need to share some couple of points to you. Let me share my screen because you already understood how 2019 has been working, but let me share a couple of points for you that's maybe useful to you. I hope you can see the presentation. I hope it's been loading. Now, in a hybrid cloud or AZ900 exam, this typically in a server OS certification or a training program. So I already given a explanation or a course summary on the day one. Now, when you are discussing about a 2019, this is the latest operating system. Currently, it's been available from a Microsoft. You may be heard about another operating system recently Microsoft is released, that is known as Windows Server 2022. So 2022 or few books, it may be mentioned as a 2K22. So customer places, you may be seeing operating system like a 2003. Now this has been end of life. It's already, you are not going to get any support from a Microsoft. 2003 or a 2008 or a 2008 R2 or 2012 or a 2016. Now, right now you have it 2019 and 2022. So right now, most of the customer may be using 2016 or a 2019 or a 2022. Maybe some of the older customers, maybe they'll still having 2008 or a 2008 R2 also. But right now, it's an end of life product. So only for the extended support case, only you'll be getting a technical support or it's been the product support from a Microsoft. So right now, almost all organization across the globe is in the stage of a migration or upgradation of their existing operating system from 2012 or a 2008 to either into 2016 or a 2019. So next couple of hours, we'll try to understand uh, how 2019 is been organized or what are the options you have available in front of you and what are the different versions or edition is been available for you, because on top of a cloud you are going to install this 2022 or a 2019 operating system is the base operating system. Now once you completed this training event, this basically we are trying to cover 2019 and 2022 modules or a MOZ documents from this AZ800 and 801 program. So end of this program or end of the session, you will be able to go and write the certification program called AZ800. This is the exam course. You are able to write it. We have another program 801. It's been coming in the next month also. Now, the first couple of points I'm planning to discuss is about what are the versions currently we have, because when you install a cloud VM or when you are trying to install it on a operating system on an on-premises one, you need to understand what are the different versions of a 2019 has been available, or you want to know what are the deployment model it's been available on the Microsoft side. Now, when it is coming on a 2019, it's similar like your Windows XP, or it's like olden days, or in your college days or school days. You may be used Windows XP or a professional or a standard or an enterprise. Or if you're taking your laptop, if you go to my computer and properties, you may be using a Windows professional, or it's been like different versions of your Windows 10 operating system, right? So um, you may be either using a Windows 10 or a Windows 11 versions, right? So maybe home versions or a professional versions. So if you have any if you want to check what is the current version has been available for a operating system, you can just right click on your my computer and properties. There you will be able to identify what is the current version of your operating system. Now when it is coming on at 2090, Microsoft is came with the four editions of versions. One is called Essential versions, and you have a 2019 Standard, and you have a Data Center, and you have a Hyper-V also. So these are the versions is currently supported on the Microsoft side, because right now in most of the customer places, customer be having a different licensing or a different versions of the product it's been available. Now, when it is coming on at 2022, 2022 is having a data center standard and essential versions. So both is having a similar kind of a pattern or similar kind of edition it's been available. Now, in case if you are using a 2019 or a 2022 data center, where you want to go for a high load data center or highly virtualized data centers or a cloud environment if you want to use, then you can go for a data center versions. And the standard, where we have a minimum virtualized environment, you have that kind of a situation, you can go for a standard one. So let's discuss one by one. Now, essentially is the one of the base operating system, and whenever you want to go for any kind of uh, basic or a startup kind of organization, if you are that kind of a situation, you can go for a essential versions. Essential version is basically it's been like in case you want to go for any kind of a small business, you may be remembering like in case if you have used Windows Server 23 or a 2008, you maybe heard about versions or it's called edition called small business servers, or it's called SBS, right? So this is a similar kind of editions. Now you have a firm or you have an organization where you have a maximum 25 users it's only presented, or you have only maximum 50 device only needs to be connected. So that kind of a situation, you can go for essential versions. So this basically it's been recommended like if the maximum users in your organization it's been on maximum 25 users. So just give me a 2 minutes. Sorry, in between, my internet connection has got some issues. So my vendor came and they want to change the connection. Just give me a second. Let me upload the PPT again. Okay, so I can see on the chat people are sharing LinkedIn page, and yeah, that's good. So happy to connect each other, and people can share the details. So you people can connect each other. That's been well and good. So professionally, this can be connected. Okay. Uh, Papoto is asking like where can we find the PPTs? Yeah, we'll be uploading on the Discord channel. So where you can able to download the PPTs and relevant documents on the portal. Now let's go back to this slide. Now I was discussing about a term, or it's called versions, called essential versions. Now when you're going for purchasing a mobile, even each brand you may be having a different versions of a mobile you may be getting, right? You may be having Apple iPhone 11, 13, or a 14. This kind of models are available. You may be noticed when you are trying to install an operating system also. Yesterday, when you tried to install an operating system on the Azure portal, you may be seen here. Let me connect into the Azure portal now. I'm just connecting to Azure portal now. It's asking for a OTP. Just give me a second. So right now you can able to see we have connected to Microsoft Azure portal. So you may be notice when you're trying to create a VM, you got an option for what is the operating system to be selected. Right now, if you are selecting here Windows Server, you may be seeing like there are different editions or versions of an operating system. You got 2016 data center, you got 2022 Azure editions, or if you type Windows Server, you may be able to see there are different versions or editions of a data center here. Now, which one you will select it? Because each product will have a different price tag will be attached. Now the amount, if you are seeing like whatever versions you are using for a Azure edition for a generation 2, having one price card. Now if you go to another version like a 2016 data center, you may be seeing like another price tag or a rate card has been attached. Now in which situation you will use all these things? That's the important point. Now all this has been decided or it's been selected. It's based upon the uh, versions or editions. Now, when it is coming on a Microsoft Windows Server 2019 or it's been 2022, essentially is one of the versions you can select or one of the editions you can select where you have maximum 25 users are connected or maximum 50 devices are being connected. So that kind of a situation you can go for a Windows Server Essential versions. Now maximum it's been supporting, there is some physical limitation, hardware limitations also we have. Maximum it can support up to 2 processor cores, and maximum it can support up to 64 GB of RAM. Now this has been supporting AD Connect also. AD Connect is a feature. It's generally using like I'm giving a scenario. For example, like you have a on-premises data center. Assume you have a on-premises data center, it's been available, and you have a cloud data center also available. Now you have a Azure based Active Directory is being configured, and you have a on-premises DC also it's been configured here. Now you have created some n number of users and a group inside your on-premises DC. Now, in case if you want to use the same user principles or a user ID for accessing a cloud, you can integrate or you can connect your on-premises Active Directory and Azure Active Directory each other. How, how this generally it's been done? It's been done with the help of a feature called Azure AD Connect. So you need to install in between, you need to have a Windows Server 2016 or a later version of operating system, and you need to install a feature called Azure AD Connect. So AD Connect, Azure AD Connect, it's you need to install it on uh, in a Windows operating system. So with the help of that, this you can able to download this MSI file. You will be able to download it from here. So I have pasted here. There is a MSI file can be able to download. So this MSI file, you need to install it on the member server. For example, like you have to install a VM or you need to install one server, and you need to make this is a member of this domain controller. And on this VM, you need to install this AD Connect MSI file. Right now, I have pasted that AD Connect software link on the chat window. So you may be able to see like there is a file you are able to download. Generally, this is mean a .msi file will be there. So like Azure AD Connect .msi, there is one file you'll be able to download. Once it is download, this MSI file, you need to install it on in a member server. Uh, why I'm calling this is a member server because this server will be part of your on-premises DC. So this will be configured or this will be configured as a on-premises. So it's been part of a that member server. Now, once it is done, uh, the member server will be connected to the on-premises DC with the help of a enterprise admin, and this will be connected to Azure Active Directory with a credential of a global admin also. So with the help of that, you will be connected to Azure Active Directory, and whatever user account which you have been created inside your DC, that will be synced with your Active Directory. That's the Azure Active Directory. So the same username and password what we are created on in which we are created in a on-premises DC can be used in a cloud environment also. So that's about the AD Connect feature. So I was saying if you're using a Microsoft Windows Server Essential versions, even though it's been recommended for a small or a startup organization, this has been supporting a feature of AD Connect also. So that's so you can able to integrate your Azure Active Directory, and you are able to uh, integrate or you are able to move your Windows Server or so the user account which you are created from on premises, and that can be used on in a cloud infrastructure. Now, in case if you are using an essential one, you maybe heard about a term in the Active Directory that's called FSMO role. That's called Operation Master Roles. In a typically in a complex infrastructures, like if you're taking like if you have a more than 20,000 member servers or a domain or a user account, generally if you have available in a most of the situation, like FSMO role we used to distribute between a domain controllers rather than installing it on a same server. In a normal production scenarios, it's been recommended to use it on a different server. But when you're using a Windows Server Essential one, uh, it's supporting a domain controller feature, so you can make Essential Server as a domain controller. But the problem here it's been like you need to ensure that all the FSMO role, like your PAD master or RAD or a PDC emulator, or the schema master role or a domain name master role, all the FSMO role, you need to or you must run on the same servers. You cannot distribute it on a different servers. Now, in case if you have an on-premises network and a cloud network is been available in an organization, so you can able to integrate also. For example, like the same scenario, like you have an on-premises network is been available, and you have a cloud network also it's been configured. For example, like you have configured a cloud VNet, and you have a existing network is available in data center. Now, if you want to integrate or if you want to connect your on-premises network with a hybrid network, that can be done with the help of this option. So you will be able to integrate your cloud network as well as the Windows network also. So that's the way Windows essential versions are working. Now, another versions which you can able to see on the 2019 or a 2022, it's been about the standard versions. Now, if the customer is looking for some higher features or some advanced features on the Microsoft operating system, it's you have a standard version also it's available. So you need to remember like this similar like how you are purchasing your car or a mobile. So based on the customer requirement, whatever features they need, based on that they have a different options are available. So you can go for a server versions or you can go for a standard version. So with the help of that, you are able to configure it. Now, if you're looking to the Windows Server standard versions, uh, in the previous version was supporting only up to 2 processor, but in the case of a standard one, you can extend or you can add or you can configure up to 4 terabyte of RAM memory, and it can up to support up to 64 socket of the CPU. And it's been supporting all the features of the Windows servers also. And even though it's been supported the Hyper-V features, so it's been like in case if you want to use a Hyper-V or you want to configure this is for a virtualization kind of situation, that can be able to configure it here. So this typically using like if you want to go for any higher versions of your operating system where you're looking for a advanced versions of the features and all the features of the Microsoft Windows Server 2019 or a 2022, then you can go for the standard versions. Data center is generally it's been using like in case if you want to configure any mission critical applications or where you need a high availability or maximum hardware support if you need, then you can go for a features called Windows Server Data Center. That's supporting a lot of new latest Windows Server 2019-22 features like something called a shielded VM or that's something called a storage space direct, and it can support up to 64 process core, and it's been extended up to 40 GB for RAM. So this kind of a versions has been supported on the Windows Server data center versions. Now, end of these sessions or end of this event, you need to understand. So whenever you're going for installing the operating system on a, whether it's on an on-premises or it's in a cloud environment, you need to understand based on the customer requirement, you as a user, you are getting a flexibility to select a different operating system. That's an important point you need to remember. So you will be able to select a different operating system. So that will help you to configure it in a based on the customer requirement, you will be able to configure in a different mode. Now, in case if you want to configure a hypervisor, so like you maybe heard about a hypervisor like a type 1 or a type 2. In case if you want to configure this is kind of a hypervisor kind of a mode, then you can able to go for this option called hypervisor versions. So that it's been supported hypervisor mode where you can able to install multiple VM inside that one, and you can simulate or you can virtualize the existing hardware in the system. So that's the way it's been working. Now, based on the customer requirement, you can go for a hypervisor or a data center or a Microsoft essential versions. Now, in case if you want to download this one, it's been very easy. You can just go to Microsoft portal. Microsoft portal, you can go like Windows Server 2022 download. You can just give it. This is the slice where you in the evaluation site where you can able to download all the products. Or if you want to go for product tab, you'll be able to download it. Whatever versions you want, you can able to download it from the same portal itself. Now, in the case of my cloud or cloud VM, you don't need to download it. It's by default image has been available in the marketplace itself. You need to just select it here, go to image, and from there you can able to select whatever operating system you want. For example, like if you want 2022, just type it 2022. You can able to see what is the version it's been supported here, or you can just type Windows Server. The name you can type it. It will show you what our product it's been supported on the Azure side, or you can go to the marketplace. Inside the marketplace, if you can able to select it marketplace, if you're in some marketplace, you can just type Windows Server. You can able to see world ISO image, or you can able to configure directly from here. You don't need to download any ISO images. You can able to see it directly from here. So you can able to see the different versions or a customized versions of a server here. Now that's about the versions or editions here. Now I'm just posing here, so in case if you have any questions, we can have a discussion. Now, if you have any questions on Microsoft editions, I would like to have a discussions. Yeah, so we got any questions like what is a shielded VM? This is something like a hardened server, Sandesh. You maybe heard about a feature called UEFA, right? Because in some, or you maybe heard about a device called a PO also. So PO device, right? So there are some organization. Now you want to protect your network because there are some situation like I'm just giving a scenario like you have an office. Now you how many guests are coming, they are connecting to a network, and if just imagine like I came to your office, my laptop was not properly updated, OS update was not done, and I don't have any antivirus, and I'm not following any kind of a security compliance. I came to my your office. So Sandesh told, "Hi Robin, so we know each other. So you provided your RJ45 cable, this one, like it's been the network connection. The moment I connected, in case if my laptop is not healthy, and in case if there is many malware it's been available on my laptop, there is a chance of spreading across the your network. Now, if you want to avoid this one, this is one scenario. Second scenario, it's been like you have a all the users are connecting a remote desktop to your organization. Now you need to put some kind of a um, restriction, like if anyone is been connecting to your office has to go through a gateway server instead of directly connecting to a servers which is being hosted in a network. You need to connect to your uh, physical server. It's been hosted in a network that's been properly configured with antivirus or a properly patched, and all the security policies been enabled, or that's called hardened servers. So that kind of a VM is generally configured with the help of a concept called shielded VM. So it's called shielded VM. Any other question from anyone? So if you're good, we can move to the next portion. And I request everyone to confirm through the chat option. Okay, so I got one confirmation. Okay, lim is confirmed, like it's good to go. Okay, so I think got a confirmation from most of the members. Now, in case if you are going for Windows Server 2019 or a 2022, always you need to check the hardware configuration also. So basically, if you are going for 2019 or a 2022, this is the minimum hardware Microsoft has been recommending for installation. This is only the minimum one. Okay, it's not the maximum one. Or like if you want to install different roles on the Microsoft, you may have to go for a, additional configuration. This is this for a simple installation of an operating system. This is the minimum recommendation Microsoft is recommending to us. Now, additional configuration has to be decided based on what is the job role or what is the workload you're running on in that servers. So basically, it's you need to have a 64-bit architecture. That's the one point, and you need to have a 1.4 gigahertz, or it's been like minimum 512 MB of a RAM, and you need to have a hard drive disk space of it's been the 32 GB. So that is the configuration, or that is the requirements we have. So with the help of that, uh, you can able to install the operating system on the Microsoft. Now, desktop experience I'll show you. Now, hardware requirements, if you in case if you want to whatever I have given, it's been like that's a minimum installation. But all these points you need to consider what is the load you're going to use it on in that server. It's not that with a 512 MB of a RAM or a 1 GB of a RAM, you cannot run a production server. So always you need to ensure that you have a properly configured, or it's a proper configuration is be placed for your system. So always you need to have a properly configured a storage or a network or additional disk or its memory to be placed in the production servers. Now, whenever you're going for any kind of installation, whether it's on in a Microsoft Windows servers or it's been on the cloud servers, these are the few points always you need to uh, ensure that you're validating on your servers. So like always whenever you're going for installing an operating system on a cloud VM, or if you are configuring a VMware workstation or a VMware, or if it is on-premises one, ensure that you are meeting a minimum system requirements at least. That's the configurations already have shared, right? So ensure that you have a proper installation it's been placed. Ensure that you have a proper drivers, and you need to have a proper planning also. It's not that I can go and install an operating system. Later on, I can change the configuration like a DHCP or a DNS. That's not preferred. Now, in case if you're using an old operating system like a Windows Server 2016 or a 2019 or a 2012 or a 2003 or a 2008, you can check out a upgrade plan or a migration path also, because a couple of servers or a couple of versions is allowing you to do go for a direct upgradation to the latest version. Right now, that's been the latest one. It's been the 2022, and some customer place still it's been using a 2019 or a 2016 also. So these are the few guidelines or a few points as a system administrator you can able to note down, or you need to ensure that this task is been completed before going for any kind of a installation. This is generally known as a pre-installation recommendation or a pre-installation checklist. So end of the class, you need to understand when we are going for installation on an Azure side, or it's in a on-premises or in a cloud side, ensure that you're validating a system requirements. You are ensuring that you have a proper drivers or it's been configured, and you have a DHCP or DNS kind of a configurations also it's been validated. That's about the configuration part. Okay, now let's come to this next portion. I hope you're aware about this concept called work group and domain. It's been like I don't need to spend time on this one. It's basically uh, in case if with the at the time of a Windows Server 2019 or a 2022 installation, by default it's been configured as a work group. That means all the user account it's been updated in the SAM file, the security account manager. So whatever user account or the username it's been selected, it's been created inside a SAM file. So you may be seen yesterday when we are trying to create a Azure VM, we have provided a username and password. So that username and password has been created inside the now domain means that you will have a active directory or a domain controller will be available. So that will be your centralized management option. So with the help of a centralized management or active directory options, you will be able to do all user management. And in case if you want to do any kind of a policy or a user or a group management, that can be done with the help of a domain. So that's the way as the domain or a work group it's been planned. Now This about the work group and domain. So anyone having any question about the work group or domain, let's have a discussion on that. So we can take 1 minute for that. If you're good with the work group or a domain concept, we can move to the next portion. It's been like how this VM is been configured on how this can be accessed. Then we'll be moving to the DHCP part. Any questions on this portion, work group or a domain? So far, no questions. Thank you. Okay, well, good. Okay, good. Okay, now, okay, we're getting some positive comments on the chat. Okay, good. Because before moving to the DHCP, I thought like I'll ensure that your VM or it's been the on-premises foundation has been well and good because you're going to install all these services on the servers. Okay, now let's move to deployment options. Now, whenever you're going for any kind of a deployment, there are three mode of installation generally we are using. May I know how many DCs are we configuring using AZ100? Neil, it's not based on AZ800. This generally the domain controller or a Active Directory is being configured based on the customer requirements. You can go for even though if you are going for a AZ800 exam or it's a certification, you can configure multiple DCs here. You can distribute your FSMO role on multiple DCs, or you can go for Azure AD. So basically, number of DCs always has been decided. It's been based on how your organizations it's been available. It's been configured. How big your how big or the complex is your network, and how many users you have, and what is the kind of a redundancy or availability you need. Based on that, the domain controller design or it's been numbers are decided generally. It's not based on a certifications or it's not based on a uh, training program. It's always it depends upon the complexity of your infrastructure. I hope I'm answered your questions, Neil, Pablo. Right now, in a normal AZ 800 labs or a training, we used to go for a single servers only, but in a production, we'll have multiple servers. Thank you. Now, whenever you're going for an installation, you can go for a fresh installation, or you can go for an in-place upgrade, or you can go for a migration. These are the three options generally it's been available on the Microsoft. So with the help of that, you will be able to go for any kind of a deployment options. Now, in case of in a deployment options, as I said, like the first option generally we are following in a customer place that's called a clean installation. That all of us know, right? One option is been like, what do you make clean installation? This is something like in your laptop, you may be doing a concept called a formatting, right? So whenever if there is a blue screen or if the some situation like if your laptop is been running slow, always used to do a concept called formatting and rebooting, right? Hey, we used to tell like, hey brother, don't worry, it's like let's format my laptop. So we used to clean everything and we'll put a fresh operating system on top of that. You are installing MS Office, right? Similar way, the similar activity if you are performing on a Microsoft Windows Server 2019 or a 2022, it's been like you're booting from your bootable device and you're installing an operating system and giving all the license agreement and you're completing installation. That's generally known as a clean installation. So you're booting from your OS ISO image, or right now you can able to see here when you are installing into on a Microsoft Azure side, the moment when you are doing an operating system is a clean, and if you're selecting, that's been generally handled with the help of a concept of a clean installation. Clean installation means that whatever data it's been available on the system, um, it's been completely deleting and it's been configuring. That's kind of a mode generally known as a clean installation. Now, in case if your upgradation means in place upgrade, or it's been like options generally you may be knowing. For example, like you already having a some old operating system is available on your system. For example, like you have a 2012 or a 2016. Instead of going for a fresh or a clean installation, you can run the ISO image, or it's been like, or the images on the system, and you can go for a direct upgrade of into the latest version. That's called upgradation. It's called in place upgradation. Now the point you need to remember, in case if you are going for any kind of a in place upgradations, ensure that these are the 4 or 5 steps you are following. This is the path I was following, like whenever I'm going for any kind of upgradation. So the first activity which you need to do from your side, it's been like, you need to ensure that you are doing a proper evaluation first. So ensure that it's been like you are doing upgradations, or it's like evaluating, like from which edition to which edition you want to upgrade. So the proper evaluation on the system. Now in the chat, I'm just getting a question like fill in the form. Sadik is in. So what is this? It's me like attendance link. Okay. Oh, so I think Hasan was looking for a attendance link, and Neil Pablo has been helping. Okay, thank you, Neil. Okay, now evaluation is something like so whenever you're going for any kind of upgradation, so you need to ensure that the system or the versions you are going to upgrade is been compatible with your application, and it's been matching with your requirement. That's the first part you need to do from your side. In case if you're going for any kind of upgradation, you need to ensure that you, you are taking a proper backup also. There are some situation in case if the system, if something is going wrong, I don't want you to be in a kind of in a trouble, or in a panic situation. So always I prefer you to go for any kind of a backup also. Even though if you maybe have done 1,000 upgradation or a migration, as a system administrator, we recommend you to take a backup first. So whether even though if you're making any modification on a registry, or if you're making any kind of OS upgradation, always it's been recommended to take a kind of a backup. So in case something is went wrong, or something is going wrong, you have at least old, or you have a post, or it's been like you have a kind of a uh, recovery or the disk assessment plans has been available with you. In case something is going wrong, you have an option to recover it. So this is the option you can follow it. Now in case if you want to um, after the upgrade, the next action you need to do go for a verification, and once it is done, you need to go for a OS update. So these are the cycle, or this is the plan generally. Almost all admins are generally following in a production scenario. In case if you want to go for any kind of in-place upgrade, ensure that you are doing update, evaluate, backup, and upgrade, verify, and update. This is the cycle generally we are using. Now, right now you're having a 2019 has been currently available in the customer places. Right now you can able to see these are the upgraded plan currently it's been available. Now you can able to see I have given different versions of a operating system currently it's been available in the market. Right now you can able to see you have a 2008, 2008 R2, 2012, 2012 R2, and 16 and 19. These are the latest production available operating system in the production scenarios. And right now, 2022 also it's been available, but it's been evaluation, or it's been in a beta, or it's been kind of in a validation stage currently it's been happening. Now, right now you can able to see I given it's been a mainstream support. I given it's been a extended support also. So right now you can able to see 2008 and 2008 R2, and all these versions are in a extended support. Now, if you are having a user, if they are using a 2016, from 2016 on 2012 R2, from these two version, you can go for a direct upgradations. Now, all other versions, direct upgradation is been not available. So you need to upgrade from one version to another version, or you may have to go for a clean installation of the operating system. So in case if you are using a 2019, only the upgradation is being possible from 2012, 2016 or a 2019 only. So you don't have any upgrade option. It's been available from 2012 or a 2008 R2 or a 2008. So these are the challenges which you are going to face in the customer place. So in case if you have any customers, if already they are using old operating system, ensure that if it is not running 2016 or a 2012 R2, you may have to go for a clean installation. So I'm just pausing here for a 5 minutes break. After that, we'll see the couple of deployment accelerators, and then we'll be moving to a concept called VM management, and we'll be moving to the DHCP also. Now, let's take a 5 minutes break, and after break, we'll be moving to a concept called MDT, or it's called a concept called deployment accelerators. So okay, I hope all are back from session. I request everyone to confirm. Yeah, yes, Charita, we were on break. Now, before break, we were discussing about uh, different versions or editions of Microsoft Windows servers. You have a 2012 or a 2019 or a 2022. Different versions are available, right? Now, in case if you want to go for any kind of a deployment, there are different free Microsoft tools. Generally, we are using in production scenarios. One of the tool generally we are using that's called MDT. You may have heard about this tool called Microsoft Deployment Toolkit. This generally using like in case in an on-premises scenario, because AZ800 has been covering on-premises as well as a cloud. Both the versions or both infrastructure has been covering. Now you are in a customer place. Now the customer is saying like they need to install 100 or a 200 servers with the same image. Like somebody say like I need a 200 Windows servers to be installed, or I need to have 200 Windows XP or a not XP is not available nowadays, Windows 10 or a Windows 11 if they want to install. So instead of doing it manually one by one, people can use a concept called MDT. That's called Microsoft Deployment Toolkit. You may be remembering, like in case if you have been worked on a Windows Server 2003, there was a feature called RIS, Remote Installation Service. Few years before, I am not sure how many of them got a chance to work on a Windows Server 2000 or a 2003. That's a few years before there was a concept called RIS. So this RIS and MDT is almost similar only. In case if you want to automate your installation, or if you want to multiple system, if you want to configure same kind of operating system, then you can configure a tool called Microsoft Deployment Toolkit. So this deployment toolkit, you will be able to download this file, or you will be able to download this MSI file. With the help of that, you will be able to deploy, or you will be able to automate the installation. So once it is done, you will be getting a screen here. So it's will like you have a WDS server needs to be installed on a Microsoft 2019 or a 2022, and whatever operating system you want to push or you want to install through the network, that image or ISO image you need to install it. So any laptop, if they want to install or if they want to configure, they will boot from a network device. Generally, it's used to boot from a hard disk, or it's been the a CD or a DVD or a ISO image, right? Instead of that, that will be booted using a pre-execution environment. That means called through a network, it will boot, and they will connect with a option called WDS. So in case if you want to use uh, multiple operating system, or a multiple operating system, if they want to configure in a network, that kind of a situation, you can go for this one. Now, there's a one tool generally in the customer places we are using. So this tool name you can remember. So in case if you want to automate your network. So in case if you want to automate your network, you can go for MDT kind of a tool can be used in Windows Server 2019 or a 2022. Now, another tool generally we are using in a production scenarios, that's called Map2. That's generally known as a Microsoft assessment and a planning tool. This also can be downloaded. This basically like in case if you want to upgrade, if you want to validate any kind of a configuration or upgradation in the system, if you want to do a assessment of your existing infrastructure, that kind of a situation, you can able to go for a tool called Microsoft Assessment and Planning Toolkit. So in case if you want to do an assessment of your network, then you can able to use the tool. It's called you can able to use the tool called Microsoft Access Management tool. So with the help of that, in case if you want to do any kind of a inventory for your organization, that can be able to done with the help of a map tool. So map and MDT, these are the commonly used tool. Generally, we are using a customer place. Now, let's go back to the VM. So before break or before this moving to the editions, we were doing or we were discussing about uh, installation about Microsoft servers, right? So we installed a installations on a Microsoft side, on a cloud Azure side. So let's try to understand that how this is being configured now. Now let's go back to the whiteboard. I'm giving you two scenarios here. Right now, you have a two scenarios here. One it's been like a on-premises one. You have a on-premises server. You have a on-premises server. On an on-premises server, you have installed an operating system. Now, if I'm a user, how will you connect to this one? You will connect using a monitor, or you can able to take it a RDP. Now, the second scenario we are going to consider is been like you have a cloud, Microsoft Azure you have. Now, inside an Azure, you are installing a Windows Server 2090 VM. Now, as a user, we'll try to understand how this VM can be accessed from your computer. This is the next lab we are trying to do it. We'll try to see how this VM can be accessed. Second option, we'll try to see on a physical server how DHCP can be configured on a Windows Server 2019 or a 2022, and we'll try to see how this has been possibly known in a on-premises scenarios. Now I'm trying to go back to the Azure VM. Yesterday we have been connected. Now let's go back. So let's go back to the portal. Yesterday we have created one VM, and I hope you can see my screen. I think the whiteboard already it's been coming. Now let's go back to this portal. So yesterday my ID was not working, so we took a help of my friend. I think he's deleted the VM. So I think again we need to create a. I think our friend has been deleted our VM because my subscription is got expired and have been escalated to Microsoft. So they told it will take a dead time. So let's use this ID for time being. So it's been North Europe. Right now I'm just creating Windows Server 2008. 2019 we'll use it here. Okay. So I given a username. You can just note down the username and password. I'm giving a username. It's been admin. Password also given. So don't worry about the network or a disk options right now. Let's create it. I'll tell you how it's been it can be configured here. Right now there is some error we got. What is that error? Public IP address no. Cloud VNet. It's been running a final validation. So right now we are trying to create a VM on a Microsoft Azure. All the validation, everything it's been completed. I'm just creating it. So it will take 1 to 2 minutes. Depends upon the network connectivity. So we need to just wait it. So right now the deployment has been in progress. So we need to just wait. Deployment is in progress now. So right now you can able to see in the notification area. The notification area means that notification bell icon. You can able to see in the right side top. There you can able to see the all the status or the progress of this one is saying that there is a VM is been created. And here also you can able to see a notifications. Now if you go back to the virtual machine, right now you can able to see the virtual machine VM1 is been created, and it's been created inside a cloud admin. And right now you can able to see the which location this has been created. Now Braden is asking like, what about the license part here? So there are two options, Braden, you have. One, it's been like at the time of a creation itself, you have an option to select it. If you have a license, you can select that one. For example, like if you in case selected here, bottom you will be getting an option like you have a license, it's been available. So there you'll be getting an option like in case if you're already having existing license, after the installation, you can activate with that license. So there will be some cost reduction on that part. So you can able to see in the screen itself, like in case if you have already, if you have a existing license is been available, almost 40 to 49% of the cost reduction you'll be getting that. Otherwise, in a hybrid mode, you may have to, this will be coming with available or it's been activated with a license also. So you have both options been available. Braden, I hope it's been cleared your questions. Yeah, thank you. Now, right now we are discussing about VM. Right now you can able to see you have configured a VM on a cloud infrastructure. All of us already know in case if you are configured it in a on-premises data center or a data room or on a top of a physical server where you can able to connect directly using a monitor, or you can take a RDP and you are able to do all kind of a management. Now, how this can be configured or how this has been possible in a cloud scenarios? Because cloud scenario, you don't have a direct access to the physical server. You don't have any option to connect to your monitor, or you don't have any option to connect to the KVM switch, right? Because right now, all these servers, physical servers are hosted in a Microsoft data centers or in Microsoft regions. Now, we'll see how this can be possible to connect. Once it is done, we'll be moving to the DHCP concept. Now, after the installations, if you want to see the summary or if you want to see all the VM, it's been configured here on the resource panel. Resource panel is the window or it's the whatever tables which you are seeing on the left side, that's generally known as a resource panel. In the resource panel, you will be able to see an option called virtual machines. In the virtual machine, if you are selecting, you will be able to see there is a that will be showing a complete VM which has been configured on the Microsoft side. That will be giving a details like what are the VMs is been currently hosted here. It's been like you can able to see. Right now, I have only one VM is been configured. That's been configured with a VM1, and that's been configured with inside a resource group called Cloud Admin. And you have a North Europe is the location it's been configured. And typically there are different status icons you can able to see here. That is currently you can able to see. The Windows is being configured with a status buttons. It's called running is the current status is been available. Just give me a second. So right now you can able to see. One second. So give me a second. Just trying to copy a couple of things here. Just give me a second. Okay. Right now you can able to see. Um, we are in a customer place, and the customer has been requested for a VM installation. Right now the VM is being installed. Now on the status bar, you are able to see an option called. I hope I'm audible to you. I think I just got a message. It's not audible. Is there any issues going on? Almi, I'm not sharing a presentation right away. So we are sharing a screen only in the Microsoft Azure portal. It's been shared. I can hear you and I see the. Okay, okay, fine. Now we have configured a VM here. Right now you can able to see on which subscription it's been configured, and you can able to see which location it's been configured also. Now, right now you can able to see there are status is been showing as a running. So right now you can able to see how a VM is here. So the meaning it's here, it's been like under the subscription, you have configured only one VM right away. So that's only the VM1 only. Right now it's been not be available on this screen. Now, in case if you want to do any kind of a management, you can able to see here, this VM is being configured with a couple of additional details also. Now, there are a couple of activities right now we are planning to do here. One, it's been like, I got a VM here. Now, I'm getting a couple of questions here. As a user or as an admin, how can I access to this VM? Because I'm sitting in India, or I'm sitting in the Philippines, or I'm sitting in Sri Lanka. So always you have a couple of questions maybe coming in your mind, like as a user or as a cloud admin, how will you connect to this VM? Right now, I have able to see there is a VM is being configured. Now, for connecting to this VM, there are a couple of methods or a couple of management options we are using. The commonly used method, that one is called RDP. You may be already aware about a concept called remote desktop connections. I hope you are aware about a concept called RDP, right? Now, if you're seeing this VM on the summary page, there is a couple of questions has been posted on the chat. Let me answer it in the possible in the break time. I'll answer all that questions. Okay. Right now, if you're seeing this VM here, you have a getting a complete information about or the complete status of your VMs here. Right now, you're getting a option something like you have a resource group and which has been configured with cloud admin subscriptions or a resource group, and it's getting a information about um, options options called subscription ID and a DNS. All these informations it's been currently it's been showing. Now, if you go to the properties here, in the bottom one, you may be able to see there are two IP addresses been currently it's been assigned here. One is known as a public IP address, and you are able to see another set of IP addresses called private IP address. So you have a private IP address and you have a public IP address also. So what is the difference between these two? Any idea? Can you just comment it on the chat window? If you can comment it on a chat window, that will be well and good. Now, let me go back to whiteboard. Now, yes, you have a private IP address and public IP address. Yes, I just seeing a couple of chats here. Few people have been commented it's been like a public IP address, the IP address which you are using in internet. Right now, if you're seeing here, we have configured a VM in Microsoft Azure. Right now, if you can see here, so we have configured a VM in a Microsoft Cloud North Europe data center. Now you have a VM. It's been configured with the VM1. Right now, I'm saying this has been assigned with a two IP address. One is a public IP address, and this got another IP address is called private IP address. So in your college days or in your uh, uh, professional experience, or you may be heard like there are two type of IP address generally it's been using in a normal network infrastructure, right? So few people is already commented here the IP address which you can use in an internet. All of us knows this IP address is basically using for making a network communications, right? Now, if I need to connect each other, for example, like in a normal scenarios, like if I need to make a phone call to my friend, so you used to use a mobile number, right? We cannot use a mobile number or we cannot use a SIM card number in a uh, network or it's been the computer infrastructure or the IT infrastructure. So there we are using a different numbers we are using. That's called IP addressing. You already maybe studied about IP version 4 or IP version 6 type of a classification. I'm not going to spend the time on that how IP version 4 or IP version 6 is been classified here. Right now, my point is here. It's been like in a Microsoft Azure scenario, there are two type of IP address are generally it's using. One is called a public IP address, and second one is called a private IP address. Now, public IP address already you may be knowing. Any IP address, you already aware that you have a class A, B, C, D, and classes it's been available for IP. Now, in a class A, any IP address is starting from 1.0.0 9.255.255.255. That is a public IP address. Any IP address starting from 11.0.0.2 126.255.255.255, that also has been a public IP address. So the IP address which can be used in the internet, which can be routed through the internet, that's generally known as a public IP address. That's the external word where you can able to use that kind of IP address. Generally, it's been known as um, public IP address. Generally, this has been provided by the ISP. You may be heard and already knowing that's called internet service providers. This has been either it's been provided by the internet service providers or this has been provided by the IANA. This is the organization is generally is responsible for managing the IP address. It's globally. So this is the IP address is being globally using, and it's been acceptable in the internet also. In a class A cases is 1.0.0.02 9.255.255.255.255. This is one set of IP address is using, or it's been 11.0.0.0.126 is been using. 127 generally not using because it's been using for a loopback IP address, so it's not using as a public IP address. In a class B cases, this has been configured with 180.0.02, 172.15.50.255, and it's been using 172.32.0.02. This is 32, okay. 191.255.2.55. This is a class B cases has been using. In a class C cases, 192.0.0.0.2, 192.167.255 series, or it's been using 192.169.0.2, 223.255.255. Class D and class V is generally using for a broadcast or a multicast. So generally that IP addresses are not used on a public IP address. Right now on the screen, whatever IP address I have pasted or I have written, these are the IP address generally we are using in the internet. These are the IP address which is been routable in an internet one. So the point or the we have been diverted from a point. Right now we have configured a VM on a Microsoft Azure. So we understood it's by default. All the VM is been assigned with a public IP address. So this number can be from a or it can be from a class B, or it's been from a class C. Who is been deciding that? This has been decided by the Microsoft. You don't have any control over the public IP address. This by default, this has been assigned by the Microsoft itself. Now, one important point you need to remember here. Yes, it's public IP address is the IP address which you can use the internet. The catchy point or the important point as a cloud administrator, you need to remember here, it's public IP address is not a free resource, because in the day one and day two and day three, we found Microsoft has been working in a OPEX mode. What do you mean by OPEX mode? This similar like your Uber or similar like your electricity. Based on the consumption, we have to pay the money to the cloud service provider. It's not Microsoft alone, okay? Even though if you are using other third-party vendors like Google or AWS or Alibaba or HP or IBM, if you're using any cloud service provider, in case if you want to use a public IP address, you need to pay the money to this one. So the important point you need to remember here, public IP address is not a free resource. So there is a amount you need to pay for that. Now, how will you know about the pricing part? So that the reason in the day one onwards, I'm saying, in case if you want to configure any product, you need to refer the Microsoft document. Now, if you go to the Microsoft portal and if you're typing like Azure public IP address price, you will be able to, you'll be getting all the details about the public IP address, how much money you need to pay to Microsoft, and what is the charge which Microsoft is charging for that. So you'll be getting a complete details based on the SKU, how much money Microsoft is been charging per hour or per month, the complete details you'll be getting. Now, end of the session, you need to understand, in case if you're configuring a VM on a Microsoft Azure server, by default, the public IP address has been allotted. Now, right now we are discussing about a hybrid scenario here. In case if you are configuring Windows Server 2022 or a 2019 on a existing on-premises data center or a data room, by default public IP address is not assigned. So I'm considering it two scenarios here. One hand you have in an on-premises one, and another hand you have in a cloud one. In a cloud scenario, you have a public IP address is by default it's been assigned. I'm pausing here, so in case if you have any question on a public one, let's have a discussion. or let's have a debate on that. In case if you have any question on that part, we can discuss. If you're good, let's move to the next portion. Okay, so I think I'm not seeing any questions here. So I got a comment from Robert. Can we edit or change the public IP address on Azure VM? Uh, Braden, we have an option to uh, disassociate. You don't have any option to change the public IP address on a Azure VM. Since Azure public IP address is a costly product, in a most of the scenarios or a production scenarios, we used to remove the public IP address. There are two reasons behind that. The one reason, Braden, it's been like we don't need to compromise the network security part, because you think a scenario like you're working for an organization where all the 1,000 machines is got a public IP address, and all the users are connected from an external world using a public IP address. So there is a chance of a network compromise. So yesterday I was saying about a social engineering and how the Uber is being compromised, right? So now similar case here, I think a scenario is like you have 1,000 VMs been configured. All the 1,000 VMs has been allotted with a public IP address, and all the VMs you've been accessing from an external world. So there is a chance of network security compromise. Now, for avoiding this one, in a most of the scenarios, we will be removing this public IP address. So the right term we are using on Azure VM, that is called disassociate. Most of the situation, most of the scenarios, cloud administrators or architects, they will be removed your public IP address from a VM. So there are two reasons behind that. One, it's been like for protecting the network. Second one, it's been like saving a budget also, because you think a scenario like 1,000 VMs, you are paying a money to Microsoft or a cloud service provider. So there is some financial burdens you are getting, right? So for avoiding this one, only the VM which really needed the external network, only that VM will be provided with the internet. Or you may be using a concept called Azure Firewall. So you'll be configuring Azure Firewall on the perimeter network with the help of Azure Firewall. You may be doing it NATing. You may be heard about a concept called NATing. With the help of a NATing, you can able to do it. That's one option. Or the second option, you may be using a concept called gateway servers, or you may be using a concept called jump servers. That's the second option generally we are using. And the third option will be, it's been on the Bastion Service. Now, Ranf is asking, will the VM been connecting to internet even without a public IP address? No, if you don't have a public IP address is been available for your VM, you will not be in a position to connect to external network. By default, as I said, all the VMs which you are configured on Azure, it's been configured with the public IP address. In case if you are removing a public IP address on Azure VM, and still if the customer or the client or application is looking for external network, you may have to configure Azure Firewall, or you may have to configure NATing on the perimeter node. Can we assign a public IP address only to the servers that user connect to internet? Yes, Damien, we can have that option. Right now, if you can see here, Damien, I'm just taking this screen to the whiteboard, sorry, into the Azure portal. Right now, if you can able to see here, we are in Microsoft Azure portal. Damien, I think I'm answering. I'm answering your question. So if you can just look into this Azure portal here. Now the question is here. Damien is working a customer place, and the customer is, so the client is saying like they don't want a public IP address on all the computers, only for a specified network or a specified VM is only we need. So in case if you want to remove any public IP address here, you can go to the in the left side, whatever tab right now you are seeing that I said, it's been called resource panel. You can click on the virtual machines. You can connect it here. There you are able to see an option called, right now this has been assigned with an IP address code. 20.123.65.61. So Damian, I'm sharing the first scenario here. Now let's see how to remove this first. In case if you want to remove, right now we are in a customer place, you have 1,000 computers is been assigned with a public IP address. And if you want to remove this one, you can go to the networking tab and you can go to this network card once you connected here. Yesterday I was saying like by default, there is a virtual network interface card is being created. This similar like how this is being configured in a on-premises one. All of us already know. In case if you want to use a networking on an on-premises data center server, so like you may be using a Ethernet card or a physical internet interface card, right? Similar way, instead of using a physical card here, you are simulating the hardware and you are creating a VNIC, the network card which you are creating here, that generally known as a virtual network interface. So you can able to see there is a virtual network interface card is being created here. Now, if you're clicking on the virtual network interface card, that will be taking you to the IP configuration of or the network interface card properties. Now, inside the network interface card properties, you will be able to see a couple of options here. There you can able to go to an option called IP configuration. So inside IP configuration, you are getting a flexibility to remove or your flexibility to associate. So the right terminology, you need to use it in Azure scenario. In case if you want to remove an IP address, right now I'm discussing about how the public IP address can be removed. You can able to disassociate. This is not removing the right terminology. Generally, we are using the Azure scenario that's called associate or a disassociate. Right now I'm selected the option called disassociate. Now I am getting an option associate or a disassociate. Right now I have been moved in a tab into disassociate. Right now I've done a disassociate, but as long as if I'm not moved this configuration to a saved mode, right now on the top, you may be able to see there is a floppy disk symbol you will be able to see here. Now, in case if you're able to see the floppy disk symbol, the configurations are saving. Because many times I used to get a concern or a question from a team saying that, hey, Robin, have made some configuration changes on Azure, but configuration is not taking. So the reason it's like, in case if you're making any kind of a changes on the Azure infrastructure, always in your ensuring that that particular configuration or that particular change you are moved into a saved mode. Saved mode generally you can able to see with a kind of a floppy symbol. So whether if you are making a changes on a network security rule, or if you are making any kind of inbound or a outbound connections, or if you're making any kind of a configuration change, always ensure that this configuration is being saved and this has been updated also. How will you validate this has been updated? Because in the right side top, you are able to see there is a bell icon. You can click on the bell icon where you can able to see an option like network configuration or the changes has been saved. So right now we made a disassociate options here. Now, if you go back to the virtual machines here, right now you can able to see from the VM, the public IP address has been removed. Right now you can able to see the public IP address has been removed. Now, so this is the one option you can follow. Now, another thumb rule you need to remember here. Right now you got, right now you understood like how the public IP address is being removed. Now, another point you need to remember here, in case if you're rebooting a server on in a using a Microsoft Azure portal, right now you can able to see we have created or we have configured a VM here. We have deployed a VM1 here. Now, now we got a request from a customer. Customer is saying like I need to reboot the server. Right now we have a two option is been available in front of you. In a normal on-premises scenario, I'm just giving a scenario like in your right now you're sitting in front of your laptop. Now, if you want to shut down your computer or a laptop, you have a two options been available in front of you, right? What was the first option you're using? You will go to a start button and you will click on a restart button or a shutdown. And OS point you may be doing, right? You go to a start button and where you're getting an option for a shutdown, right? Where you can able to configure a shutdown button and you are able to do a shutdown here. That's the first method you're using. What is the second method you're generally doing on your laptop? Like in case if you're angry and if you're frustrated, you will press a power button on your laptop, right? Continuous 3 minutes or 2 minutes if you're pressing, your laptop will be down. This is the method you're using, right? Now, in case if you're in a data center, same kind of a concept you can use, right? You can press it, the power button of your Dell or a HP or a Cisco UCS, whatever servers, your physical servers you have, you can press it on that, and you can shut down. Or the second method is like from the OS point, you can able to shut down. Now, in case of any virtual machines, now right now the VM1 you are configured in North Europe. Now I need to shut down this computer. I have two options. How you can ask your boss, hey boss, I need to go to North Europe. I need to shut down my VM1. That's one option. How will your boss allow? Most of the times, most of the times, your boss will say, sorry man, on-site is me not approved, right? The second option is been like you can connect or you can take a remote desktop of this VM, and through the OS you can able to connect it and you can able to shut down. The third option is well in the Azure portal itself. If you select this VM, if I've selected this VM on the top right now, if I'm selecting the particular virtual machine, this has been opening a new window on the right side top. You may be able to see a couple of options are coming. One is called a connect, restart, or a stop. So the moment if I'm pressing a restart here, uh, this is initiating if I'm pressing an option called restart. Right now you can able to see what is the virtual machine status here. Right now you can able to see the virtual machine is in a running mode. Now, in case if I'm pressing a restart button or a stop button, I'm restarting the VM. If I'm pressing a stop button here, I'm I'm shutting down my VM from a portal. Now, the point you need to remember, in case at any point of time, if you're initiating a restart or a stop from a Azure portal, the virtual machine will be moved to another state that's called deallocated. So the stage will be for your virtual machine will be deallocated. Right now we can able to see here. If you go to virtual machine, the status will be changed to a deallocated state. So that's will be moved to different host. Another point you need to remember, in case if you're restarting or it's been stopping from a Azure portal, by default, whatever public IP address you have been assigned, that will be removed automatically. So because the reason it's been like, whatever public IP address or whatever private IP address this VM currently it's been received here, right now you can able to see it's been called deallocating, right? So we have seen the VM has been currently has been configured with a public IP address, and this has been configured with a private IP address. Both the IP address are currently it's been configured in a dynamic mode. What do you mean dynamic mode? In case if you are rebooting or restarting the server, the whatever IP address it's been assigned, that will be changed. So the point you need to remember here, in case if you're rebooting a VM from a physical or the Azure portal, whatever public IP address you have assigned, by default that public IP address will be changed. So it's a concern, right? The reason it's been like, you have a scenario, it's been like you have a configured a IaaS or a web server in your organization. I'm just giving a scenario here. Let's go back to the whiteboard. Now you're in a customer place. You have configured a VM. Now this VM is being configured with a public IP address. Now this public IP address is X. Right now we understood, in case if you are rebooting this server using Azure portal, by default this X will be released, and next time if the server is been powering on, Y public IP address will be receiving. So in the most of the situations, in case if you are using a public IP address for a VM, always you need to make sure that the public IP address is being configured in a static mode, because by default all Microsoft Azure public IP address are configured in a dynamic mode. What is the problem here? I'm just giving a scenario. It's been like myself, Robin, has been working a company called Orange.com. Orange is having a web server. Now my web server is been mapped or it's been done a binding with a public IP address. I have a website called Orange.com, and this is been mapped to a public IP address here. Now one of my admin, I have an admin called Mr. Arun has been rebooted this VM using Azure portal. Now when he is rebooted this server, technically what is happening on the backend, what our public IP address currently it's been assigned, that's in a dynamic mode. So this public IP address is being released. And next time if the VM is been coming up, it's been coming with a different public IP address. But my web server or a IAS web server is been right now is been mapped with an X, but right now the public IP address I'm using is been a Y. So my website, so that may lead or that may escalate to another P1, or it's been kind of an outage saying that, hey Robin, my website has been not working. So the reason it's been like previously the IAS or the website has been configured into a X IP address that's been got changed. So the point you need to remember here, in case if you're using Azure in your infrastructure, always ensure that before making any kind of a reboot from a physical or it's an Azure layout, make sure that the public IP address is in a static mode. Now, I know you maybe got a question here. Hey, Robin, how will you make my IP address is a static? So it's very simple. The same option wherever you are done a disassociate, there you will get the same option called changing the IP address or fixing an IP address into a pub static IP address. You can go to the VM, the same networking tab. There you can able to see a network interface card is been available. In the IP configuration, you will be getting an option called there you can able to see here, go to IP configurations. There you will be getting an option called static, right? There will be getting an option called a static IP address. Right now, my friend has been using a Microsoft ID. That the reason the public IP address is not getting an option for a static or dynamic, because his ID is always got a static public IP address. Generally, you will be getting one more options here for a static or a dynamic here. Now, the same option can be followed for your private IP address also. I'm pausing here for a break. Now, before moving to break, let's have a discussion in case if you have any pending questions you have, let's have a discussion on that. And if you're good, we'll take a 5 minutes break and we'll come back. If you're good, I request you to confirm it on a chat window also. So thank you. And Robert has been confirmed, like he's been good with the topic. I got it through comments. I request all the members to Sandesh, no. As of now, we don't have any option to assign, or you don't have any option to move the existing public IP address from your infrastructure. Right now, we don't have option supported on the Microsoft Azure side. You don't have an option. For example, like in case if you're using a public IP address on your existing on-premises and you order a lift and shift, and if you want to use it here, right now you don't have options available. Future it may come. Right now it's not so far. So thank you, and few people has been confirmed so far. It's been good. Yeah. Is not Google alone, Adrian. Even Microsoft also it's been supporting the IP version 6. So the moment when you create your VNet, you are getting an option to create uh, the configurations, whether you sit on it on an IP version 6 or in IP version 4. So it's been supported. Even Microsoft Azure also it's been supporting IP version 6. Almost all cloud providers are using, and I heard like almost all organizations are right now uh, in a stage of moving your other IP schema to IP version 6. So all providers have been providing this feature. It's not Google alone. So let's take a 5 minutes break. And yeah, thank you, Ruiz, and thanks for attending this today's event. And talk to you tomorrow. Yes, you're right, Mr. Sandesh. It's been like almost in the IP version 4 or in a kind of end stage, or it's been almost all it's been utilized. How can Azure assign public IP address to all of us? By default, it's been assigned Azure. By default, Sandesh, it's been assigned to all VM. So if you go for a Microsoft VM, by default, this has been assigned. So Microsoft is having all that pool has been available with them. So let's take a break and we'll be back soon.
Now, I hope all are back. Now, let's move to the next portion. Right now, we understood. I think let's take an opinion. So, okay. I hope all are back. Can you just confirm on the chat window? In case if you're back, so if you can just confirm it in the chat window, we can start the sessions. Okay, thank you, team. It's been now. Right now, we haven't seen like how public IP address is been assigned or how this is been configured. Right now, if you're seeing here, the VM is being configured here. Right now, we can see here. Let me associate my VM. Let's go back to the VM here. Right now, if you can see the VM here, it's been the stop stage. Let me power on. Let me start it. So right now, it's been VM is being powered on. So it'll take a minute time. So we need to wait. Now, VM has been back online now. Just refresh here. You can able to see it's been VM has been available here. So I think there is no public IP address. So let me go back and assign. Just give me a second. Yeah, right now this public IP address configuration I'm assigning back. So this will take some time. So we need to wait. I think it's taking time. So okay, it's been saved. Now if you go back to the virtual machines, you can able to see the VM has been configured and it's been configured with a public IP address. Right now we are discussing about a topic. It's called how to connect to this VM first, because before installing, if I need to install a DHCP or a Active Directory or any of the service, if it is in on-premises, you can connect a monitor and you can able to install it. But right now the scenario has been a bit different here, because right now you have configured a VM and you need to connect to that. So right now you can able to see you have a VM here. It's been installed with the Windows operating system, and this got a public IP address. And you maybe notice like there is a private IP address also, it's been assigned to this. What is the use of a private IP address here? Private IP address has been using in case if you want to do any kind of a internal communications. It's like if you want to connect internally, if you want to connect to between a, virtual machines inside your network, that has been connected with the help of a private network. That's called a private IP address is using. Now, if I'm a user here, I'm sitting in India or any country, and my VM is being hosted in US East locations. Now, if I need to connect to that, what are the options is been available in front of us? That's the point right now we are discussing. Now, most of the times, if I need to connect to any VM here, the common method we are using, it's been on the normal scenario that's called RDP, right? You maybe heard about a term called RDP, that's called Remote Desktop Configuration Protocol. In the case of in a Windows, in case if you're using a Linux operating system, with the help of a putty or with the help of a SSH, we used to connect it. Now, right now we have a VM has been hosted in US or it's been on any other country or any other geography. And I'm a user, Robin has been sitting in India. And if I need to connect to Microsoft data center through an internet, I'm connecting. I hope all are agreeing with this point, right? Through an internet using HTTP protocol or through a Azure portal layout, I'm connecting this one. Now, if I'm sitting in a Azure or if I'm sitting in on-premises one, it was easy for me. Like I can connect a desktop or I can able to connect it locally. Now, right now the situation is bit different here. So only through internet, uh, you need to connect it here. So what are the options it's been available in front of us? So we are trying to understand that part. Right now we understood the VM has been assigned with a two configuration. One is a public IP address. A second is a private IP address. So we have a two options been currently available. One is called a public IP address, and second one is a private IP address. All of us already know we cannot use a private IP address for connecting in a internet, right? Private IP address, all of us know. There are a couple of IP address which you can use only in an internal network. Maybe in your office, you may be already aware that a couple of IP address, which generally you're assigning to a network interface card, which we cannot use in internet. For example, like 10.0.0.02, 10.255.255.255, or most of the situation we are using like 190 172.16.0.02, 172.31.255.255, or 192.168.0.02, 192.168.255.255. So these are the private IP address. Generally, we are using inside your network. That's called internal network. You cannot use this IP address in internet. Clear? Any question from anyone? So if you're clear about the public or the private IP address, we can able to comment it here. So private IP address is always it's free of course. You don't need to pay anything for that. And the problem here is like that IP address you won't be able to use in internet. I hope if you're clear, can you just comment? Yes, both private and public interface are assigned to the same internet, uh, same network interface card. So generally both will be assigned with both IP address. Right now, I think I have shared my um, whiteboard. I hope you can able to see this one. Okay, so thank you. So I think Stefan and Pavitra has been confirmed. It's been like, how can I participate this event? You'll be getting this one. Okay, so public and private IP address has been clear to all of us here. Now we are discussing about a term here. Can we add more than one network interface card and more one IP? Yes. Sandesh, it's like, oh, that's a good question here. Now you are in a kind of a situation. Now the customer is thinking like, you want to use it a multiple network interface card. You can able to do. By default, Sandesh, only one network interface card only. By default, it's been assigned. Now, in case if you want to add more than one, you can do it here. Let me show you that option. You can just go to the same VM. You can click on the virtual machines which you are configured. And if the customer is saying like, hey, Sandesh, I need an additional network interface card, you can go to that virtual machine property. There you'll be able to see an option called networking, right? On the left side or the middle of that, you'll be able to see an option called networking. You can click on that. Once you click on that, right side, you'll be there is another window is been opening. And the top, you'll be able to see there are two options by default. One is called attached network interface card, and you'll be able to see another option is called detached network interface card. So you need to use this option for in case if you want to attach, that means if you want to add or if you want to remove any network interface card, you need to use this one. Right now, this option is in a disabled mode. The reason it's been like, if you're seeing this virtual machine, right now, this virtual machine is in a running stage. So that means like you are Sandesh, you are traveling in a car. Now your co-driver told like, Sandesh, we need to change the tire of your car. Can we run or can we change the car tires on a live on a fly? It's not possible, right? Similar way here also, if you want to make any kind of a modification, whether it's a network interface card or a CPU or a RAM or any kind of a configuration here, as you said, we should stop the car. So right now, same here also, in case if you want to do any kind of a network modification here, first thing you need to move this one, you need to shut down the VM or you need to stop the VM. Once you stop this one, you will get an option for making any kind of a resizing. Yesterday someone is asked like, is there any possibility to change your RAM or a CPU configuration? So you'll be getting an option for a resizing, or in case in your case, if you want to make any kind of a modification here, you will get an option for attaching additional network card. Right now, the modification or the machine is been moving on in a stop mode. It will take a minute time. So we need to wait. Once it is been moved on a wait or a stop mode, we can make it modifications. Right now, you can able to see um, virtual machine is being moved in a stop state. Now you can just refresh, and right now, Sandesh, you can able to see your got an option for additional network card attaching here. So you can able to add an additional network interface card. I'm saying like I need to create an additional network interface card. If you want, you can give it some name. This is for a secondary NAZ or something, whatever you want to do, and what is subnet to be used, and with NST group to be used, or some configuration you can able to do. And you want to do any kind of a private IP address or any additional configuration you want to do, you can able to add it here. So, so this is the way network interface card it's been configured on in a Microsoft Azure. So like in case if you want to do any kind of a modification, you can able to add. So this basically it's based on what is the configuration you are selected. So based on that, this maximum NAC card it's been supported. What is the uh, assured sizing you are using? What is the type of the configuration you are selected? Based on that, you will be able to select the network interface card. So generally, it's can able to go up to if you're using A series or A3 or a D3 or A8, you will be able to configure almost up to maximum NAC limitations having a 2. And if you're going for a G5 or kind of a configuration, you can able to go for a up to 8 NAC card. So all it's been based on the what is the configuration you have been selecting. Sandesh, I hope it's been clear to you. Yeah, thank you. Now we understood how public IP address or how private IP address is being assigned to a VM. Now let's see how this can be accessed. Now, in case if you want to access this VM, let's go back to the whiteboard. Now, if I need to access this VM, uh, I got another question here without doing RDP, can we able to access? No, if you're working in a Microsoft data center, you can able to do. In case it's no, you don't have any option to link Hyper-V or a VMware, you don't have any option for that. Then that will be a compromise on the Microsoft uh, infrastructure, right? So they won't be. Uh, I'm getting a question. It's been like, what is the purpose of having a multiple NAC in a VM? Angelo, generally this has been like using kind of a redundancy or a load balancing if you want to configure. For example, like you maybe heard about a concept called NAC teaming, right? In case if you want to use NAC teaming, because if you want to route the traffic in here, or if you want to balance your traffic inside your VM, that kind of a situation, you can go for an option called NAC teaming. In the olden days, uh, uh, Angelo, it's been using like a physical network interface card or a physical Ethernet card teaming. Uh, like a Broadgate or all this vendor or Mega or all these vendors having a NAC teaming was doing on a Ethernet level, physical level. But nowadays this is been doing in a OS level. Now, in case if you want to do a network teaming on the OS level, you need to have a multiple Ethernet card. You maybe heard about a concept called 802.3 or a LACP kind of network options, or maybe called switch dependent or a switch independent kind of a configuration. So Microsoft Windows Server 2016, 2019, and 2022 it's been supporting the NAC teaming. So the basic purpose of NAC teaming is been redundancy. So in case if you have multiple network card, it's been available here. So that will give you a network traffic on through a multiple connection, and that can be give you a better bandwidth also. So that's the case it's been using. So LACP mode or a static mode or a switch independent mode, it's been generally it's been using in a Microsoft Windows Server latest operating system. Okay, how can we increase the bandwidth of a NAC? This uh, one option is been like multiple network interface card you can able to use, and in a Azure case, I think we have an options here. Just give me a second. Let me NAC teaming bandwidth Azure. Just be checking that option is be available. In case if you want to do, I think you need to go for optimizing a network report. There is an option is been available by default. Let me check what is the bandwidth. Generally, my understanding is in normally the 10 up to 10 gigabits per second. It's the speed generally Microsoft Azure VM is being giving. Now, in case if you want to go more than that, there was an option has been available. I just need to check it that Charida. Possible I can give you that link in the tomorrow. Right now, it's not handy. It's been available in the diary. So let me get it and I'll let you know tomorrow. Because my understanding up to 10 gigabit per speed is the normal speed has been available. Now, for increasing that, there was some document I referred few days back. Yeah, 10 gigabits, not byte. It's been bits. not byte, it's been B, small b let. So that was the speed available. More than that, if you want to go, I need to just check it that document and let you. That's the default in AC. Yes, yes. Sandesh, what you're right. That's a bit. It's not byte, it's bits. Now we understood how public IP address is been assigned. Now we are discussing about a term how the VM is being accessed. Now, if I need to access this VM which is being configured here, you can use an RDP here. Now, how will you do a RDP? I will not be able to use a private IP address configured here. What is the reason here? Now, in case if I need to access this VM, right now you may be noticed like this has been configured with a public IP address 20.x.x and this got a private IP address 10.0.0.4 also. This 10.0.4, this has been got from the VNet. Now, if I need to access this one, can I try with this private IP address? Can you comment it on the chat? If I'm a user, I'm sitting in India or Sri Lanka, some country, I'm trying to access this VM. Can I access RDP using a 10.0.0.4? Now, few people, and you need to type the command reason also why I'm not able to use the private IP address here. So I request all the members to comment it on the chat just to ensure that we both are on the same page. Yes, Hedinando, we are using a RDP protocol only. So what is the reason why we are not able to use the public IP address, sorry, the IP address which we got on a VM, which is been starting with the 10.0.0. No, I'm connecting from my home, Charida. It's been like I am sitting in my home and I'm trying to connect it. So we got an answer from uh, many members here saying that it's a public IP address. Because of that, we are not able to route it. Yes. So the reason is been very simple, and because of a private IP address, the IP address which we are getting on us the private IP address, which you are not able to route it here. So we need to use a public IP address here. So already we got a public IP address here. Now, right now you can able to see you have a VM is been available here. Right now you can able to see there is a VM is we are configured here. So on top of that, we are trying to install your DHCP. Right now, if you go to the DHCP option, so the VM option, I'm just taking a public IP address. There are three options I have available in front of me. Now, once you take this a VM, if in case if you want to connect it here, now on the top, you will be able to see an option called connect. Right now, I think this VM is in a off state. Wait, this VM is, I think this VM is not started. I think we need to power on first. I don't know how this is being again went in a stop mode. So right now we are not in a position to take a RDP. The reason is like the VM is in a stop state. So let me power on the VM. So it will take a 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, now the VM is been on a start stage. Now, if you go to a connect button, you will be getting a 3 options here. One is called RDP, and you have SSH, and you have a Bastion Service also. Right now, we'll go one by one, and we'll try to see how this can be connected. Now, if you go to the RDP options here, click on the RDP here. Now, when you are clicking here, you will be able to download a RDP file, so which will allow you to uh, connect it directly. You don't need to um, type any configuration or a port number. Right now, you may be able to see there is a option is given. It's like a port number also, like a RDP. It's called a 3389. Now, in case if you're trying to access with a private IP address, if I'm connecting using a public IP address, let's try with a public IP address. So in case if you're giving, by default, this has been pointing to RDP here, right? Right now, it's been saying that, hey, Robin, I'm going to connect with a 10.0.0.4. How I'll be connecting? I'm sitting in India through the internet. I'm connecting to this IP address, the IP address which is being configured for your VM. Now, if I'm giving connect, I'll be able to see it's been like it's a connecting. Now, it's been able to see I'm getting an option for connecting. So you can able to see this connection has been initiated and it's been trying to connect to 10.0.0.4 with a port number 3389. And finally, we have ended with an error message saying that, sorry, Robin, whatever IP address you have been used, it's not routable. That's the reason few people has been commented on the chat. We are not in a position to use a private IP address. Yes, there are some situation you can able to use a private IP address in case if there is any VPN is been configured in your organization, or if you are configured and acting on in Azure firewall level, that kind of a situation, you may or you will be able to use a private IP address for taking a RTP. In case if there is a no Azure firewall or if there is no NATing has been configured in organization, you will not be in a position to connect using a private IP address. I hope it's been clear to you. Now, let's try to connect it. So right now, let's try to connect with a option called public IP address here. Now, by default, you may be able to see there is a port number is given here. You can just note down that. In the later point, I'll be discussing about a concept called NSG here. So I need to inform that information also to you. So right now I'm trying to connect with a public IP address. So right now if I'm connecting, I'll be getting a message saying that, hey Robin, I'm connecting to a public IP address 20.123.65.67. I think you can try, you can also try from connecting from your portal. I think all of us, can you try to connect to this port 20.123.65.61? Can you try from your laptop? Just go to Microsoft MS and the run command. and type mstsc, and that will take a window like this. There, can you just type this command to the IP address? Now, what is the message you are getting? Anyone tried? You maybe got a message saying that username and password, right? Am I right? Anyone tried? Yes, you maybe got a asking for a credential details. What is the credential you are going to give it here right now? Any idea? The moment when you are trying to connect this one. Now, in case if you want to authenticate here, it's asking like you got a connection right now. If you are trying to connect, you have reached the VM, but if we need to enter into that, there is a authentication to be done, right? That means a validation to be given. Now, you don't need to open the port number 18 in. Generally, the port number it's been using is been 3389 is the port number generally using for RDP. Port number 80 is generally using for a HTTP one, not for the RDP one. So always you need to have a port number 3389 is to be opened. That's already we have opened here. Now, in case even though if it is open, if I need to enter into that, I need to use a username and password. So what is the password you will use it? You may be remembering at the time of a VM creation, you have provided a username and password, right? I hope you are remembering this one. At the time of a VM creation, in the after giving the region and image or a sizing part, we got an option to give the username or a password also, right? There is whatever username it's been created, right? You have provided the username and password. So the same username and password, we need to give this one. So the username and password, it's been created inside the Microsoft Windows operating system inside a SAM file. So the moment you give a username and password, it will validate. Right now I given a username and password. So once you given the username and password, I'm not able to move this one. Just give me a second. Right now I given my username and password. Once the username and password has been validated, I'll get into that VM. Clear? So the username and password, the authentication has been happening inside the operating system. Clear? So this is the way it's been working. So what is the username and password it's been given? So it's been authenticated and it's been connected. Now for an end user, it's not maybe not knowing like whether this has been hosted in Azure or a VMware or a Hyper-V, right? For an end user, this is feeling like, hey, this has been hosted in a physical server near to my office or in the same data center. Yes, we have an option like you have auditing has been by default, it's been enabled in the OS level. So you'll be able to find out. So in case if you want to avoid or if you want to put some kind of a network security mechanism here. Now I'll tell you how generally this has been working in a normal scenario. Now let me go back to the um, screen here. Where is my primary whiteboard? Okay, now we were discussing about a term or how to connecting to this VM here, right? Now let's let's give another scenario. Right now, let's try to connect another scenario here. Now we got a question like how will you provide a security here, right? Now, right now you may be observed here. I'm a user. Uh, sorry, Damien, my mic went in a mute mode. I hope it's been audible now. Now I'm a user. I need to connect to my VM. For example, like I have a VM has been available here. So we understood this got a two IP address, public IP address, private IP address also. So the first point we have been considered the possibility of connecting via private IP address. That's the first possibility we have tried, right? So this is the first possibility we have tried using a RDP connection to private IP address. We understood by default private IP address are not routable, so this is be not possible. So what is the next option? In case if there is any VPN or a NATing or a firewall is been available, only in that kind of situation you can able to use it. So the second option which you have considered, we have tried for connecting an option called public IP address, right? We took a RDP connection to the public IP address, and with the help of that, uh, we are able to get an RDP. Now we have two concerns we have here. What are the concerns we have? What it's been like? This kind of method is okay. Now, if you have a less number of infrastructure or less number of a VM is been available in your organization, in that kind of a scenario, you can able to go for a public IP address. But think a scenario, it's been like you have 1,000 or a 2,000 VM is been hosted in your infrastructure. All this 2,000 machine is been exposed to internet, and all the users are connected from internet. So like Mr. is SD is being given as a scenario like there is a chance of a network compromise, right? Because your public IP address and your infrastructure is being exposed to internet. So security is one of the concerns. Second one, it's been like a cost also, right? So you'll have a cost also it's been involved because we understood like Microsoft Azure is having a cost is involved for here for the public IP address. Now, in a most of the scenarios in a customer places, instead of giving an IP address to public IP address to all the VM, in a normal scenarios, customer will be using a concept called gateway servers. So they'll be deploying a server or a gateway server or some books you may be hearing or it's been mentioned as a gem server. So you'll have a gateway server or a gem server will be available. So user will be connected with a gateway server or a gem server. From here, again, they need to take an RDP using a private IP address. So only the gem server will be assigned with a public IP address. All the servers or all the VM which has been hosted inside your internal network, public IP address will be disassociated. So only the gem server or a gateway server will have a public IP address. Only this server will be accessed or exposed to the internet. Generally, this will be kept inside the or near to the perimeter network, and all the traffic to this gem server and gem server to internal will be traveling through the Azure firewall, and proper NSG will be configured. Most of the situation uh, in a customer places, this is will be a Microsoft servers. It's been security hardened server will be used with be all kind of a security feature or a complaints or a policy has been enabled. With the help of that, it's been configured. So typically this will be a Windows server, and or it's been typically this has been configured with a ISAS servers. This has been ISAS servers only generally using. So, and there are some situation if the customer wants to go for any additional uh, modification, this one uh, already customer is been not ready for doing any kind of a VM management here. For example, like you have a gateway server or a gem server which we are configuring here. It's been very difficult for you to do a management of this physical here. So that kind of a situation, customer can go for a concept called Bastion Service. So Bastion is something like a kind of a Microsoft PaaS service. You don't need to go for any kind of a configuration here because if you are using gateway server, first you are taking RDP into the gateway server, and from the gem server, again you are taking RDP. Now, if the customer is thinking like I'm not interested for this kind of configuration, so that kind of a situation, you can enable a service called a Bastion service. You can able to see here. Now, in case if you want to use this one, you can enable a feature called Bastion Service. See here, this is generally configured in a per network. I need to enable this one. So let me enable it. Uh, I'm just enabled a Bastion Service here. So this has been managed completely by the Microsoft domain. So I'll show you how this has been working. Now, this generally has been configured in a VNet or a regional or a VNet level. It's been configured. Now, if you're using a Bastion service, you don't need to go for any VM or a gem server or a gate server. You may be using a VDI in your office, right? In case if you want to connect browser based, you may be accessing this one, right? Similar way, you will be able to connect it here. So let's wait. I'll show you that how Bastion service has been working. If your Bastion is been enabled in organization, I'll show you how this has been working. So I just initiated a Bastion installation. Just wait for a minute. Can you type here the technology used on the example? I'm not clear about that question. The technology right now I'm talking about Microsoft Bastion service in case if you want to use any kind of a connection in a secured way. This is the service we are using. So backend Microsoft is using a kind of a ISAS servers only. All the OS management or a hardware management Microsoft is doing. There's only difference. Right now it's been enabling, so it will take a 3 to 5 minutes generally. So meanwhile, if you have any question, you can post it on the chat window. Now it's been installation has been on progress, so it's going to wait. Just wait. So Bastion is taking time, so let's wait. So it's still creation is in progress, so we need to wait. So after that only I'll be able to show that. So it's taking time, so we need to wait. Okay, so creation has been taking time, so let's wait. Another option has been available in front of us now. Yes, it's been created now. Now, if you go to VM now on the VM properties, if you connect to option called Bastion, you may be able to see this has been taking into a kind of a screen. It's been like uh, saying that it's been updating. It's been even it's created and it's been finishing the configuration. So uh, we have to wait a few more seconds. It's been updating stage only. So it's been taking time. Yes, right now Bastion has been installed here. Now, in case if I need to connect it here, now you can able to see here. I need to provide a username and password. Authentication using a password here. I'm just giving connect. Right now, if I'm selecting here, right now I got an error message in the pop-up because I need to allow because this has been a browser based. Because if I need to connect it to this VM, previously we were using a RDP protocol. Right now, the moment if you're trying to connect, this has been taking to a browser based access. Right now, it's been trying to connect using a browser. It's been trying to connect it here. So saying that it's been connected here. Right now, you can able to see this has been connected to the VM using a HTTP protocol or HTTPS protocol. So that's the difference you have. Any question from anyone? So right now we have seen like how Azure Bastion Service has been configured here. So yes, so I don't have any experience. This very rarely only it's been using here. So it's been like I'm just giving a scenario. It's been like uh, if you want, if you're thinking like you want to use it some kind of a secured mechanism, then you can go for a Azure. Now is the last word. Yes, Sandesh, we are trying to wind up for today. Tomorrow we'll be covering with DHCP and DNS. So we got a question. It's been like, what is the option? It's been available on a Google. Google also having a Bastion only. So you there also have a Bastion host is been available here. Sorry, just can we create a Bastion again? Fong it will take a time again. So possible in the morning I'll show you that because it will take almost 5 to 10 minutes again. Sandeep, Sarenga, it's been asking, answering to your question. Bastion is only for Azure. No, it's been available in the Google also. It's been Google also. It's been known as a Bastion host. Bastion host service has been available in Google as well. So AWS also is having similar kind of options been available in the AWS also. AWS also in case if you're using AWS, the AWS also having a Bastion service has been available. Bastion host has been available in AWS also. That's called AWS Bastion host. That is a term generally it's been using on AWS. So Bastion host has been available in uh, Google as well. All the vendors has been supporting this concept. This is not available only in Azure. It's been available in other product, other cloud service provider also. Now I got a option. It's been like, is there any possible to log for this one? You can integrate Microsoft Azure Bastion audit log in case if you are integrating with the Microsoft Azure log analysis, you can able to do all log monitoring as well. So you can able to do Bastion audit log can be enabled. So in case if you want to um, uh, find out which user is being connected, which time the user session is being ended or a start time or end time, from the which resource ID it's been connected and what is the durations. If you want to do it, that we can able to enable it here. So you can able to enable the audit logs. I think Neil is asked that question. Yes, we have an option has been available here. Bastion is for the secure IP. Yes, it's been secured only. Yes, we can able to integrate with Bastion with the Sentinel also. If you want to use for its Sentinel, you can able to possible for that also. We can able to integrate and that's going to be the baseline for Sentinel. So we can able to use in guarded mode also. You can able to integrate with the Azure monitoring tool, Sandesh. So you can able to do all kind of monitoring or log analysis also. Now let's take a break now. For tomorrow morning, we'll start with the uh, DHCP. Fong, it's been almost on time now. So DHCP, we need another an hour time for covering. So better we'll start in the morning and we'll try to cover DHCP and DNS tomorrow. So thank you, team. And so it was a nice discussion today. So we tried to cover a couple of technical terms and terminologies and a couple of topics today. So it's been good. So thank you, team. So tomorrow morning, we'll connect it on the same time and talk to you tomorrow. Surak, you can stop the recording and all the members have a great day and talk to you tomorrow. The same meeting link you can able to use it tomorrow. Thank you all.